A busy recruiting week one for Wisconsin Badgers football as a bunch of prospects made their way to Madison for the Illinois State game. We're going to talk about them, do a bit of a recruiting rewind, and what did Chryst say at his press conference getting ready for Washington State. Ton of action today on Locked On Badgers. We're going to get to it. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, my friends? Thank you for tuning into Locked On Badgers, making it one of your first listens every single day. I am greatly appreciative of everybody tuning in. You're here for your team every day. If you're finding us on the podcast, thank you for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. And with that, let's get into it, right? This is your first show every day for the Badger coverage, and we're going to talk recruiting roundup. A bunch of prospects came to campus week one, Illinois State, and there were more than I thought there would be. It's almost like as this game got closer and closer, more names just kept popping up to the point where even after the game, I didn't even realize some of the players that were there until I saw on Twitter or something else. So let's talk about them. We're going to do a couple segments on this because there's a lot of players, and I'm not even going to be able to hit them all. But we're going to get the key points. We're going to start with the 2023s. And the key theme for the 2023 visitors was quarterback. Okay. 4 quarterbacks on campus, 4 interesting quarterbacks, all for different reasons. Let's start with Ryan Browne, 2023 quarterback out of New Berlin, New York. Prep school at Milford Academy, By the way, if you hear some noise in the background, it's raining pretty hard here, and I'm in the barn, so it's a little ambiance. We'll call it that, and hopefully it's not too distracting. So Ryan Browne, we talked about. I like him a lot. He's definitely a player we talked about with John Garcia Jr., Sports Illustrated recruiting director. John likes him a lot. He named him a sleeper in the 2023 class. Big frame, 6'4" kid. Moves pretty well though. Like he's not a statue. He's got mobility. He's got size. He was very productive in Florida. Won a state title, I believe it was, at a high level of competition. So this is a player that at this point in the game, even though it's getting a little late and his offer list isn't as robust as you would think, I don't think it'd be a reach at all. I think Browne is a really interesting prospect with arm size and some mobility, and a player that's proven he could be a winner in the past. So Ryan Browne on campus. We're not going to talk a ton more about him because we've already talked about him quite a bit on a show. And teaser, if all goes well, we'll have him on our show as well coming up really soon. So you'll be able to hear from Ryan himself what he thought of Madison, where he thinks his game is at, maybe where his recruitment is going. So definitely looking forward to that. Jerry Kaminsky, who we've also talked about, was there, the 2023 in-state kid out of Sun Prairie. Ton of moxie, a lot of the characteristics that, got Miles Burkett an offer. Intangibles, tough, athletic, a bit of a tool threat guy, even though he can really stay in the pocket and deliver throws. Kaminsky's got a lot of that. He's got an edge. He's a winner. Parker Leise was a bit of a surprise visitor out of Kansas. He showed up. He's a Kansas offer, 6'1", 6'2". So not ideal size, a little smaller than Browne, but a bit of a gunslinger, able to move around quite a bit. I like him a lot. His first high school game this year, I think he threw for 405 yards and 5 touchdowns, set a yardage record for his high school. So very productive kid coming out of Kansas. Has a Kansas offer, by the way. And I know in Wisconsin, we know how much Lance Leipold, the former Wisconsin state coach, but now coach for Kansas. He's got an eye for talent, so that's nothing to sneeze at. And then Jackson Flottmeyer, who is a 2023 in-state kid out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, 6'5", 220. Let me tell you this. I was watching film on Flottmeyer. He is better than his offer list. I'll just say that. He's got Minnesota snooping around, but this is a player that, man, if you could get him as a walk-on, I don't know if you could. And I don't know if he'd have any interest in that. I haven't talked to him. But I would love to get a scholarship guy and a walk-on in this class because I think that quarterback room needs depth. Flottmeyer, nice touch on a deep ball, moves pretty well. He's got some Stave characteristics, but I think he's a little more mobile. And I liked Stave, by the way. I was a guy who thought Stave was pretty good. So, yeah, I thought he looked really, really good, man, considering his offer list. Flottmeyer, he's got a little rawness. He plays in kind of a shotgun spread system. But you got those 4 quarterbacks on campus, and they all bring something a little different. I think Ryan Browne is probably the best mix of size, arm, mobility, winning. But Parker Leise is mobile, athletic. Jerry Kaminsky's a winner, in-state kid, ton of intangibles, and a good arm, too. He's not a slouch there. Parker, and then you have Jackson Flottmeyer, who's more the traditional 6'5" framed kid, more of a pro-style quarterback, can really scan the field, good deep ball touch. So interesting group. And Wisconsin is going to have some really tough decisions in the next couple of weeks in terms of which route they're going quarterback recruiting, because there's a couple places they can go here. Cole LaCruz coming next week as well. I like him. A lot of talent for this stage in the game for quarterback recruiting coming through Madison. It's going to be fascinating to see which direction they go. Who do they offer? I could see them going a couple different routes and not being wrong. I'll put it like that. I think there's quarterbacks on the board right now. And again, I will always keep it real with y'all. I've told you that. But I think there's legitimate quarterbacks on the board coming through Madison right now that aren't reaches. And I didn't know if I'd be saying that a month and a half ago. So I think that's exciting. Something to definitely be excited about, something to track. It's the biggest news coming out of this recruiting weekend, in my opinion. Let's stay on the 2023s. I want to knock out the 2023s. There's one more that I found really interesting. Ryder Kurtz. Ryder Kurtz came to Madison. He's a 2023 tight end out of Stamford, Connecticut. By the way, for its size, Connecticut produces a decent amount of football talent. It's interesting. But he's 6'5", 240. And when I first clicked on the recruiting profile, I saw 6'5", 240, kind of an under-recruited kid. He's got some Ivy League-ish type offers. I don't know if it's actually Ivy Leagues, but it's those type of offers. I thought I would be seeing this kind of inline big tight end that just wasn't very athletic. No, they split him out wide. So Ryder Kurtz plays like jumbo receiver in high school. They split him far out, and they throw fades. They throw digs to him. And he has some really good ball skills for a 6'5", 240-pound kid. Big catch radius, can go up high point footballs, shields off defenders. He's a mess out there for people to cover. Now at the college level, he's not going to be a receiver because he just doesn't have that type of twitch. But it is really interesting to see his ball skills and then think, well, maybe, he gets to Madison or wherever he ends up going. Not saying it's going to be Madison, but now you have these ball skills in a 6'5", 240-pound under-recruited tight end. I can see why there's some interest there. I kind of like the film, and this is definitely somebody, as this class develops, as maybe they get more film on him, put Ryder Kurtz in the back of your head, because he's somebody that I'm telling you, there's a carrying skill set there with his ability at 6'5" to make tough catches in traffic, whether it's a red zone thing, whether he can develop into a blocking tight end as well. I don't know. I didn't see that on film, but I thought that was really interesting with Ryder Kurtz. Ethan Doucette is another 2023 kid out of Kimberly, Wisconsin. We know how good that program traditionally is. A lot of times what you're getting with a Kimberly player, 6'1", 225 pounds, inside linebacker. He played 3 games this year where they've been blowouts. He has 21 tackles, 5 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 blocked punts. So just all over the field for Ethan Doucette. Definitely somebody to track, probably more of a PWO type track and follow, but we'll see. And that's the 2023s I want to talk about. Really, it comes down to the quarterbacks. Ryder Kurtz, again, the tight end out of Connecticut, I think is underrated. Definitely someone I'm very interested in following and see where that recruitment goes. But it comes down to those 4 quarterbacks. A couple more coming in the next couple of weeks, and then the decision is going to be made which direction Wisconsin's going to go. Very interested to see what y'all think. Leave it down in the comments below. Which quarterback do you like the most? Where would you go? Or do you just offer them all and see who takes it? I would not be or I should say, let me rephrase that. I would absolutely be for a 2-quarterback class this year. So I would take a couple of them, but that's just me. Coming up, we are going to talk the 2024s that were on campus. There's some big-time prospects from the 2024 class that made it to Madison as well. We're going to talk about those names. But first, today's show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to sign up to spice up your college football season while you're watching your teams play. It's easy to use while you're watching your teams. Easy to play, and one of the simplest ways to win cold, hard cash right after your game. That's right. You don't have to wait for your fantasy season to end. You can jump right in, make your picks, get some cheddar, cold hard cash immediately. And Underdog Fantasy has investment backing from Mark Cuban, Kevin Durant, Adam Schefter, and more. There's a reason we've pivoted to Underdog Fantasy at Locked On. There's a reason it's going to become the industry standard. It's because they have always been focused on building superior products for a fun user experience, and their customer service team is incredible. Best in the business. And here's the best part. You get a great bonus by doing it through us. Sign up with the promo code Locked On. That's LOCKED space ON. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's right. You put $100 in, they give you $100 for free. You can't beat that. Go to underdogfantasy.com. Find the Underdog Fantasy app on the App Store. And again, that's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Locked On with a space in between. Get in on the college football pick'em action today. Want to thank everyone again for tuning in, making this one of your first listens every day. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this community that we're building, and we are building it and we are growing it. Again, our goal, let's catch up to Iowa. Let's catch up to Michigan State. If you're watching the show, take a second, hit the subscribe button. It's one of the easiest ways to support. And our goal is to catch up to Iowa and Michigan State by the time we play them. So I know we can do it. I know we can build this community together. Let's catch up to Sparty. Let's catch up to the Hawkeyes. There's no reason they should have more subscribers than us. Let's get it. And let's talk 2024 recruiting now. So we have a bunch of prospects from the 2024 class came on, and we can't spend a ton of time on all of them. But Corey Smith is the headliner here for me, the in-state Waukesha running back, 6 foot, 180 pounds. He's a monster. If you haven't had a chance to go watch Corey Smith play football yet, carve out 5 minutes, get a cup of coffee, sit down, relax in a chair, and hit play. He is electric. He is so good. And unique running style, too. You know, he's 6 foot. He kind of glides, but he gets downhill in a hurry. Quick cuts. He's a player that he loses very little momentum when he's making his cuts. Very little wasted motion. Incredibly fluid, quick in and out of his cuts, and he is decisive. And then when he gets in the open field, he's gone. Like, he puts the burners on and he creates space. He had 4 touchdowns in his first game this season. Really, really elite 4-star prospect. You know, Ohio State sniffing around there. He's got a Notre Dame offer. Auburn just offered. So this is another one of those national recruits that, quite frankly, Wisconsin fell a little short on last year with the in-state players, with Carson Hinsman and Billy Schrouth, Jerry Cross, you know, all those players going to other traditional powers. So Corey Smith is going to be one of the places we judge that 2024 class on. So it's great to see him week 1 in Madison. I think that's a huge deal. And he saw a great game. You know, shutout. He saw Braylon Allen go for $140. So big time prospect there, Corey Smith. Definitely someone to go check out on film. Another really big prospect here, 2024 tight end Carter Nelson coming from Nebraska. And immediately after his visit, Carter Nelson tweeted that he was offered. So he does have an official Wisconsin offer now. And he is fun to watch. So I don't mean to repeat myself here saying, this guy's fun and that guy's fun. But Carter Nelson plays 8-man football. And he looks like a giant compared to the other players on those 8-man football teams. He's just lighting them up. And kind of similar to Isaiah Loudermilk, if you remember, who was from Kansas, I believe it was, also an 8-man football player who just looked like a beast out there against players that just had no business athletically being on the same field as him. That's Carter Nelson, 6'4", 205, moves really well, physical. He's also a great athlete, 3-sport athlete. He is both of his parents are coaches, and he's a guy who runs track. He does discus, he does pole vault, he high jumps, he pole vaulted almost 13 feet. You know, he ran a 11.05 in the 100. Like, he's a really athletic dude in a 6'4" frame, complete ball of clay. And there's a reason he's a 4-star player. So he was on campus, big-time target for Mickey Turner, Chris Herring, the new tight ends coach. Nice to see him get an offer. Let's keep going. Again, that 2024 class, there's a lot of good talent coming in. Titus Cram, 2024 3-star running back out of Iowa. Offers from Nebraska, Iowa State, Missouri, Minnesota was here. He is different than, even though size-wise he's about the same size as Corey Smith, a little bigger, but he is much more of just a straight downhill runner, tough to bring down. They used him out of the backfield to catch passes. Titus Cram is going to be one of the better running backs in the Midwest in the 2024 class. And to get him on campus again, week 1, I think the Badgers would take both him and Corey Smith, call it a 2 running back class, and close up shop. And that would be an exceptional 2 running back class. I don't know if he's going to be easy to get out of Iowa or not, but we all saw Iowa play offense week 1 as well. So that's only going to help Wisconsin. Titus Cram was on campus. Eddie Turek, a 2024 defensive lineman out of LaGrange, Illinois. This is a 4-star kid, already has Iowa offers, Michigan offers, Tennessee offers. He's all over the field. He kind of reminds me of Matt Henningsen a little bit. He plays special teams. He's disruptive. He has a big frame. He runs well. Not the quickest first step in the world, Eddie Turek, but somebody who really sheds blockers, uses his hands. That's another big-time prospect. And you can see this 2024 class. This is where I think you're starting to see that recruiting department that is now fully in place really starting to flex some muscles. You know, Titus Cram, big-time prospect. Eddie Turek is a 4-star prospect. Carter Nelson's a 4-star prospect. Corey Smith is a 4-star prospect. So you're really lining up some of these 4-stars together in one recruiting visit. And I think that's only going to help. Great players want to play with other great players. They want to be on visits with other high-profile players, and that's what you're seeing. Other players in that 2024 class that were in Madison, Sam Piloff, a really good in-state Wisconsin linebacker, Milton, Wisconsin, 6'2", 215. Physical player. I like him a lot. He's probably more of an inside linebacker prospect than an outside guy. He's got Iowa State, Penn State interest. That's a big-time prospect. And then they brought in Adam Steinfeld, the 2024 tight end out of Bloomington, Indiana, 6'3", 235. Now, Steinfeld, he's drawn some interest. Ohio State, Notre Dame. He has offered from Minnesota. Steinfeld is kind of the opposite of Carter Nelson, who we talked about earlier, right? The 8-man tight end guy, really athletic. Adam Steinfeld is more just that inline guy. He's Hayden Rucci, right? He's blocking in line. He's destroying people. Really strong point of attack presence from Bloomington, Indiana. Somebody who's going to drive defensive ends. They leave him on the edge against defensive ends in high school, and he just takes him out of the play. He wipes him out. Good hands. I saw him make a one-handed catch, but he's definitely going to be more of that Hayden Rucci type player. Not a really great athlete. Good-looking prospect, though. And then there were a couple 2025s I want to talk about really quick. Again, 2025s are really starting to get down the pike, so we're not going to spend a bunch of time on these players, but definitely some names to know. Liam Vaughn came to campus. If that name sounds familiar, Aiden Vaughn, the older brother. Liam Vaughn, 6'2", 280 pounds, great size for a sophomore. He's also a wrestler. Liam Vaughn is very physical. There's a great clip of him on Twitter. I was trying to look up some of his highlights, and there's a clip where he's just body slamming a dude while he's wrestling. He said, some people lift weights, I lift people. That's an offensive line mentality right there. So Liam Vaughn, 2025, offensive lineman, was on campus. Trey Poteet, right? The son of Hank Poteet, cornerbacks coach, really high-level cornerback prospect, by the way, 6 foot, 170 pounds. Already an offer from Michigan for a 2025 kid. Very fast, good size. Maybe we get a bit of an in there, right? Obviously, his dad's a coach. Maybe dad can sway him a little bit to Madison, but he was on campus week 1. Great to see. And then a couple other just names. Again, we're not going to go crazy deep on 2025 because so much is going to change in 2 years. But Andre Levitt is a DB out of Illinois, already has a Tennessee offer. He was on campus. And then Jovan Clark, a 6-foot athlete out of Chicago, already has Maryland, Boston College offers. Another big-time athlete. So that's a great group of players. And by the way, there's another 6 or 7 that I just on a show don't have time to get to everybody. And I also don't want people's eyes to gloss over as I just rattle off name after name after name. But I think the key takeaways for week 1 recruiting wrap up, 4 quarterbacks, a couple high level 2024 kids, right? 4-star national level prospects, and then a couple really unique tight end prospects with Nelson and, with Steinholtz, that kind of stuff. So, and with the 2023 tight end out of Connecticut, sorry, I'm blanking right now, Ryder Kurtz. So there's 3 tight ends I really like, 4 quarterbacks who I think are all intriguing, and then a smattering of 4-star 2024 kids. Again, I think this is the recruiting class starting to really start to flex their muscles. Like, they're in place, they know their roles, the department is there, and now you're seeing visit lists that we didn't really see last year. And I think this is somewhat we missed by not having that recruiting department in place a little bit earlier. I think Mickey Turner is going to be incredible at this. I think he's going to be a great recruiting director. I think we're seeing the fruits of labor right here, and a bunch more recruiting information coming up as we continue to follow these guys. Remember that I will have Ryan Browne on the show, so we're going to do an interview there. If you have any questions for him, let me know in the comments, leave it below. And that's kind of the recruiting roundup. I want to finish off today's show with Paul Chryst, his press conference. Some things I found notable with what he said, either reinforcing what I thought I saw or maybe disagreeing a little bit with what I thought I saw. So that's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a word from our sponsors. All right, everybody, I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Badgers one of your first listens every day. Again, I really, really do appreciate it. Let's talk Washington State early press conference. Let's talk what Paul Chryst said. A couple of interesting takeaways here, and you can definitely go on YouTube, watch the whole press conference. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was cornerbacks, Alexander Smith, Justin Clark. So if you remember our grades from week 1, Illinois State, I thought cornerbacks underwhelmed, but I also caveated it with the fact that they're missing 2 of their top 4-ish, right? Definitely Alexander Smith, and Justin Clark is a big part of what they were wanting to do. So Chris seemed more hopeful on Justin Clark, said we'll have to see how he practices. Notably, he didn't really say anything about Alexander Smith. It makes me think that he's not quite there. And with the hamstring, maybe he had a setback. They're not going to say it. I'm only reading tea leaves here, but when he's talking about Justin Clark, he talks about yeah, we'll see how he does in practice. We really want to, he's doing this and that. And he really doesn't say anything about Alexander Smith. It makes me worry that hamstring is just not healing. It's just not where they want it to be. And you can't mess around with a hamstring injury as a cornerback, right? So I don't know. Maybe he's back next week and all is good, but I'm starting to get a little worried, y'all, about Alexander Smith because you absolutely need him. You need him because you need him against Ohio State and their bevy of receivers, but you need him to push everyone down into their roles. Like nominally, Jay Shaw should be the number 2 on this team. Alexander Smith's the 1, Shaw's the 2, right? And now you're pushing Samar Melvin. You're pushing Ricardo Holman down to the 3, 4, 5 spots. So it's really important. I'm getting a little nervous there. On the inside linebackers, Paul Chryst said, and I quote, "You felt them. They made impactful plays, played fast." Yeah. That's everything we saw. Muma was great. I thought Jordan Turner showed all the athleticism and speed that he showed in clips last year that we've been waiting to see. I thought Paul Chryst's first comment about the inside linebackers, "You felt them." Yeah, I thought that was very apropos and completely accurate. Quarterbacks, this is interesting to me. Now, obviously, Paul Chryst is not the type of guy who's going to wax poetic at a press conference. He's not going to give you too much. But they did ask him about Myles Burkett. Are we going to get him more reps? What do you have to do to get him ready? And he did say, yeah, we're going to get Myles a few more snaps, but it starts with Graham Mertz, right? You got to continue to focus on getting Mertz better, making sure Graham is in full control of everything. And then he kind of had this throwaway comment about, and we got to get Deacon some work too. Like, it's almost like he had to remind himself that, oh yeah, I need to say something about Deacon. But I think if you read it again, reading tea leaves, I think it's not a great look for Deacon Hill when Paul Chryst's first comment is really more about, let's get Myles some more reps. Oh, and then Deacon too. And, I'm kind of paraphrasing. I'm not trying to create anything, but that's how I interpreted it. Let me know if you disagree, because I could be way off on that. But I think the fact that Myles was the number 2, he got to campus later than Deacon. I'm telling you, there's some issues there potentially with Deacon Hill. I don't know. Let's see what else. Oh, and he went on to call Burkett level-headed. Yeah, which is everything we heard about him, right? By the way, everything we heard about Myles Burkett was intangibles, level-headed, winner, going to prepare. And the fact that he's already become the number 2 quarterback and seems to at least handle that responsibility at a level beyond his age, it bodes very well for his future, without a doubt. So you can look at this 2 ways, right? You can be a little disappointed that Deacon Hill and his gigantic rocket howitzer mega arm, right, is now the number 3 quarterback. But the flip side of that is Myles Burkett came in and he's already exceeded expectations. He has already impressed the coaches. So there's 2 sides to this. As obviously, at the end of the day, we just have to hope Mertz doesn't get hurt. Because I don't think you can be confident in either Myles Burkett or Deacon Hill right now. Paul Chryst did talk a little bit about Hunter Wohler, said he will be out a bit, which is coach speak for, yeah, that injury was bad, right? No confirmation or anything, but he will be out a bit. That's not great. And then one other note, obviously Paul Chryst, Washington State coming up this week. Nakia Watson, former Wisconsin Badger, is on Washington State. He ran for over 100 yards last year. So Paul Chryst just said, he mentioned him a little bit. He was asked about Nakia, said it's not really about Wisconsin versus Nakia, which of course it's not. Nakia didn't leave on bad terms. There's no bad blood there. But he did say, I appreciate Nakia. He did good stuff here. So it'll be fun to watch Nakia. Obviously a longtime Badger. But that's the week, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the recruiting roundup, the kind of the press conference roundup. Look forward to tomorrow. Hopefully Ryan Browne, quarterback recruit, is on the show. We're going to talk about his trip to Madison, what he thinks of the Badgers, where he's at in his recruitment. If you have any questions for that, let me know in the comments below. Let me know who your favorite recruit this weekend was. We're going to keep talking Badgers, guys. A bunch more content coming up. Really do appreciate everybody joining the show, leaving the comments, liking it, subscribing it. We're going to keep it coming to y'all on Wisconsin, and we'll talk tomorrow.